Something absolutely stinks about this entire situation, and I'm not talking about leftover villa drama. What we're witnessing is two grown men, Ace Green and Taylor Williams, who once called themselves allies, systematically trying to destroy the most beloved couple from Love Island USA Season 7. This isn't accidental drama or innocent commentary. This is a calculated, coordinated campaign designed to tear down Nicolandria, Nic Vansteenberghe, and Olandria Carthen. From Ace's recent podcast appearance on Speedy Mormon, where he questioned Nic and Olandria's authenticity, to Taylor's convenient excuses about producer manipulation, every single move has been strategically timed for maximum damage. The Love Island fandom sees right through this transparent attempt at relevance, and today we're exposing exactly how deep this betrayal goes. Before we dive into this psychological warfare, smash that subscribe button faster than Ace can backtrack on his messy comments. My subscriber count is looking lonelier than Taylor after realizing he was just a placeholder in everyone's love story. Help your boy out, because this tea is about to get scalding hot. Let's start with the podcast bombshell that sent shockwaves through the entire Love Island community. When Ace sat down with Speedy Mormon, he didn't accidentally let something slip during casual conversation. This was a premeditated strike designed for maximum impact. He claimed that Nikhil confessed there's no romantic spark between him and Olandria, while simultaneously trying to maintain he has respect for her as a friend. The audacity is absolutely astronomical. Here's a man who spent weeks in the villa plotting against this same woman, and now he wants us to believe he's suddenly concerned about her emotional well-being. The timing wasn't coincidental either. This interview dropped right when Nikhil and Olandria were experiencing their biggest wave of positive publicity, securing brand deals and magazine features that clearly triggered something deep inside Ace's fragile ego. What makes this even more calculated is how Ace structured his entire argument. He spent the first portion of that interview painting himself as the moral authority, talking about integrity and authentic relationships, classic virtue signaling at its finest. He positioned himself as the brave truth teller willing to expose fake connections in reality TV. But then, in those final moments, his carefully constructed mask slipped completely. Suddenly, he looked less like a concerned friend and more like a bitter ex-castmate who couldn't handle being outshined by the woman he once tried to eliminate. Now let's examine Taylor's latest pathetic excuse, because this one really exposes the depths of their shared hypocrisy. During his media appearances, he claimed that producers had influenced his decision to stay coupled with Olandria, saying it wasn't really his authentic choice. But here's the million-dollar question nobody seems to be asking directly. If that story is actually true, why didn't he tell her the truth in real time? We witnessed other Islanders in that exact same environment say they weren't interested without any hesitation. But Taylor made a conscious choice to play along with what he now claims was producer manipulation. He let her invest emotionally, let her believe something genuine was building between them. That's not being passively influenced by production, that's making an active decision to deceive someone for strategic benefit. And here's where it gets really rich with irony. Ace was right there, watching this entire charade unfold in real time. He even coached Taylor on specific tactics to secure his position. We have actual footage of Ace giving Taylor detailed advice on how to manipulate the coupling situation to his advantage. But now this same man wants to stand on his moral soapbox talking about integrity and authentic relationships. He wants us to believe he's somehow a beacon of truth while simultaneously admitting he was completely complicit in helping deceive Olandria.
The real story behind this vendetta traces all the way back to the villa, to a specific moment that clearly shattered both Ace and Taylor's egos beyond repair. Remember when these two masterminds thought they had orchestrated the perfect plan to send Olandria packing from paradise? They probably spent hours rehearsing their little performance, completely convinced they were about to execute the most flawless elimination in Love Island history. Ace was dropping not-so-subtle hints about wanting certain people gone, while Taylor pulled his switching sides routine with surgical precision. Everything was perfectly choreographed to make Olandria look foolish in front of millions of viewers. But then, something completely unexpected happened that derailed their entire master plan. Nic stepped up, shut down their manipulative game, and their carefully crafted humiliation ritual crumbled faster than a house of cards in a hurricane. Instead of Olandria walking out embarrassed and defeated, she emerged stronger, more respected, and suddenly everyone was talking about how Nic had protected her with genuine care. That single moment broke something fundamental inside both men's psyche. They didn't just lose a strategic battle that day, they lost complete control of the narrative they thought they were writing. They went from being puppet masters pulling all the strings to becoming irrelevant side characters in someone else's beautiful love story.
Quick reminder to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying this deep dive into reality TV psychology. My notification bell is feeling as neglected as Ace's conscience right about now. Trust me, future videos will be just as messy and revealing as this analysis. Look at where everyone stands now in their post-villa lives. Olandria has magazine covers, lucrative brand deals, and a devoted fan base that would literally go to war for her. She's become bigger than the show itself. Meanwhile, the only time Ace manages to trend is when he's starting unnecessary drama, and Taylor's most memorable moment since leaving is admitting producers influenced his decisions. The contrast is absolutely telling about their real feelings regarding Olandria's success. If Ace genuinely had legitimate concerns about Nic and Olandria's relationship, if this was really about friendship and honest communication, he's had countless opportunities for private conversations. They were together at Disney events, reunion specials, various industry gatherings. They've had literal months to clear the air in a respectful conversation. But instead of choosing private dialogue, he deliberately chose to air his grievances on a public podcast platform, knowing exactly how damaging the fallout would be. That's not transparency or authentic concern. That's calculated theater designed for maximum impact. What Ace actually revealed during that interview is truly disturbing when you break it down. He essentially admitted being perfectly willing to pile on Olandria publicly, fully knowing about the harassment and criticism she was already facing from online trolls, all because Nic gave what Ace characterized as a diplomatic answer to a question about something he claims not to even care about. In the same breath, he confessed to being a willing accomplice in Taylor's systematic deception, actively helping waste Olandria's time and emotional energy. But somehow, in his twisted logic, Nic owes him unwavering loyalty and should have publicly defended him against criticism. The sheer audacity is absolutely mind-blowing. This is a pattern we've seen consistently from both men. Every single time Olandria reaches a new milestone, every time she secures a new opportunity, suddenly they have something negative to contribute. It's giving major bitter X energy, except they were never actually the main character in her story to begin with. The fandom sees through this transparent pattern with crystal clarity. When Taylor gets eliminated and his energy immediately shifts to resentment every time Olandria gets positive recognition, those aren't coincidences. When Ace's most viral moments consistently come from throwing shade at the couple everyone's rooting for, that's not integrity speaking. That's pure jealousy wearing a poorly constructed mask of concern. The Love Island fandom isn't comprised of naive viewers. They see straight through manufactured drama and desperate attempts at maintaining relevance. When fans immediately called out Ace's character after his podcast appearance, when they questioned his motives and timing, that wasn't mindless mob mentality. That was collective recognition of psychological manipulation being broadcast in real time. Fans understand intuitively that if you truly want to address issues with friends, you handle it privately first. If you genuinely care about someone's well-being, you don't deliberately expose them to additional scrutiny and harmful speculation. And if you're really committed to integrity as a core value, your actions consistently match your words across all situations. What we're really witnessing is a textbook case of revenge psychology in action. When someone's ego gets wounded, especially publicly in front of millions of viewers, the desire to restore their sense of power and control can become absolutely consuming. Ace and Taylor experienced a very public failure when their original plan to humiliate Olandria backfired spectacularly. That kind of ego injury creates a deep psychological wound that some people simply cannot heal from naturally. Instead of using the experience for personal growth, instead of examining why their plan failed and what that revealed about their character, they remain stuck in that exact moment, desperately trying to recreate the power they felt they lost. Revenge rarely satisfies the way people think it will, though. Each attempt to tear down Nicolandria only highlights their own inability to move forward, their own creative bankruptcy when it comes to building something positive from their shared experience. Social media has transformed this situation into a spectator sport for millions of viewers, but it's also revealed something important about audience intelligence. Fans aren't just passively consuming drama without analysis. They're actively examining motivations, calling out inconsistencies, and holding these reality stars accountable for their actions and words.
The response from Nicolandria themselves was absolutely perfect in its maturity. Instead of engaging in messy public back and forth that would only generate more drama, they responded with pure grace and united strength, letting their genuine relationship speak for itself. That's the kind of emotional maturity that simply cannot be faked or manufactured, and it stands in sharp contrast to the chaos their former villa mates continue creating for attention. Let's zoom out for a moment and discuss the bigger picture here, because this situation represents something significantly larger than typical Love Island drama. Andrea is a dark-skinned black woman who entered that villa knowing she would face additional layers of scrutiny and skepticism that other contestants might never encounter. She successfully navigated harassment, constant questioning of her authenticity, and relentless speculation about every aspect of her personality and relationships. Instead of her former villa friends working to ease that unfair burden, they've deliberately chosen to add to it with their public attacks.
Instead of using their platforms to uplift someone facing unique challenges, they've weaponized their voices to systematically tear her down. That's not just personally disappointing, it's culturally harmful on a much broader level. When Black women are already fighting for basic respect in spaces that weren't originally designed to include them, the absolute last thing they need is calculated sabotage from people who should be allies and supporters. The fans who consistently defend Nicolandria understand this dynamic perfectly. They're not just supporting a cute couple, they're actively supporting the principle that Black women deserve loyalty, protection, and celebration of their achievements without constant questioning. What we've witnessed over these past months isn't just reality TV drama. It's fundamentally about the real cost of betrayal and what happens when people you trust decide that your success represents a threat to their fragile ego. Olandria has handled this entire situation with remarkable grace that honestly puts most adults to shame. But let's be honest about what she's been forced to endure emotionally. Imagine building meaningful friendships in an intense environment only to watch them systematically turn your most personal relationships into content for their own platforms. Imagine having your private conversations weaponized against you months later when you least expect it.
The emotional toll of that kind of calculated betrayal is absolutely real and shouldn't be minimized. When someone you considered family makes the deliberate choice to exploit your vulnerabilities for clicks and temporary relevance, it fundamentally changes how you approach trust and navigate future relationships. But here's what's genuinely beautiful about how this situation is played out. Instead of breaking Olandria down as intended, these coordinated attacks have only highlighted her incredible inner strength. Instead of isolating her from support, they've clearly shown exactly who deserves her loyalty and who was never truly worthy of it in the first place. At its core, this entire situation comes down to one simple question. What does real friendship actually look like in practice? Is it supporting someone's success even when it surpasses your own achievements? Is it protecting their reputation instead of exploiting their vulnerabilities for personal gain? Is it addressing conflicts privately and respectfully before airing them publicly for entertainment? The answer seems obvious to most people, but apparently it needs to be stated clearly. Real friends don't weaponize private conversations for public content. Real friends don't time their supposed concerns for maximum damage and embarrassment. Real friends don't build their own relevance on the foundation of someone else's pain and vulnerability.
What Ace and Taylor have demonstrated isn't friendship at all. It's transactional relationships masquerading as loyalty. Ego protection disguised as honesty and concern. They've revealed that their connection to Olandria was always conditional on her staying in what they considered her proper place in their hierarchy. When she exceeded those artificial limitations, when she achieved success they couldn't control or claim credit for, their true colors emerged completely. If you believe in supporting content that goes deeper than surface-level drama, that analyzes the psychology behind the headlines, and stands up for people who deserve better treatment, then subscribe to this channel right now. My subscribe button is feeling lonelier than Ace's credibility after that podcast appearance. Help me build a community that values truth, empathy, and accountability above cheap entertainment.
Because at the end of the day, we all deserve friends who stand beside us when the world wants to tear us down, not friends who hand the world the weapons to do it more effectively. We have the power to reject manufactured drama and celebrate authentic connections. We have the power to hold people accountable for their actions, not just their carefully crafted words. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for caring enough to want the complete story behind the headlines. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your heart protected, and your standards high, because you deserve the kind of loyalty that Olandria is still waiting to receive from the people who once called her friend. The tea has been spilled, the receipts have been thoroughly examined, and the truth has been told. Now it's up to all of us to decide what we do with that truth. Choose wisely.